Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming here for this class in research methodology, which is part of the requirements of the Inspiration Economy Master and PhD. And this will be our last class, I hope, because we can cover research methodology more when we see it in other, let's say, syllabus or other classes of the program of Inspiration Economy and so on, because all our courses focus on doing projects, field projects, and only you're gonna learn research methodology as per what we want and the way we do it, or to solve problems and so on, and you can use it in real life as an expert in Inspiration Economy when you start doing. So in this class, we're going to talk about the engagement with the community problems. And this means that we need to focus on how we really set our minds and ensure that our brain is really ready for the challenges in the community. God has given us, ladies and gentlemen, a temporal loop so that we understand. We build actually the hearing, the speech, the sensories, all of it. It is in this area. And this area is very important because through this area, we carry it to the brainstem where it regulates our, all our body reactions in general. And of course, it will help us even to coordinate our muscles. We start to get more visual information and details. We start to recognize again and build a sensation about the objects that we are seeing and so on. But the most important thing is that this information, when we collect information about community problem, we are talking about the involvement of prefrontal lobe or cortex, which is here the area where we execute the function, we plan, we think, and we manage the expectation. Now we need a researcher of Inspiration Economy to be totally involved with the field research. Thus, the frontal lobe, which is controls our attention and concentration, have to be highly prepared. Means that we are planning to associate and reason any problem, and we start to see it from different perspective, from social skills, from recognizing and regulating the emotions, from again moral issues, and so on. So the more we use our brain, which is capacity in this way, we ensure that our frontal lobe is associating and getting attention and concentration, the more we can achieve actually a better way of involvement with the community problem. This will help us to see the opportunities inside the problems. It will help us to create better impulse control, better judgment, and better initiation, which means it will create for us associative pathways as we see it here, where we start to see how we should respond to a community challenge. And this is what makes a difference in any Inspiration Economy expert. So the prefrontal lobe is, again, is very important because it will create the interaction of, for example, of being persistent and perseverance, and creating judgment and self-monitoring and self-efficacy, and again, forward thinking, and creating empathy with the problem. And this means that we start to see things that others can't see, seeing unexpected features, and we start to plan in a proper way so that we solve the problem with high flexibility and unique approach. For that, we say that this is very related to our preparedness, our brain and the mind and mindset preparedness, because it will help us to see things that other can't see, and we become even ourselves inspired by the amount of things that we can solve relevant to other people. Again, the socioeconomic problem is really a important trigger for the development of our brain and our empathy. It will help us to, again, have a proper, let's say, heart interaction, will proper again nervous system reactions, and of course ability to associate the problems in different ways. Why I was saying this? Because it's very important that we remember that we are trying to do inspiration in the community, to bring inspiration currency, which is essential part for development. This means that we should have, again, we should deal with the continuous instability with the socio-economy. Now, even though we might have, let's say, challenges from coming with the solutions in the beginning, but with our persistence and our ensuring that whatever we're doing is even inspiring ourselves and making us more persistent, it will help us to solve the problem in a different way. And it will create, as we said, waves of inspiration inside us and then to the others. And this is similar to entrepreneurs and innovators and risk managers and so on. They bring again opportunity outside a problem, and they can change the mindset. And this is what is the role of inspiration engineering, which is we use also in research, because we optimize actually the use of inspiration or the source of inspiration within a problem through utilization of its quality as a mediator for positive change, which means that we can have social constructs that will take or improve and develop the quality of life of the community we are tackling or the issues we are tackling. This means that we are going to use self-sufficiency frameworks and pursue a better way of life and target actually and seek to bring a competent, let's say, solution to maybe a risky problem. Now, as a researchers, also we should establish whether, for example, the people under study, like the poor, have better accessibility to their own ownership or livelihood or cultural commitment. This is a similar example of how we focus on, again, the variables for engineering or re-engineering the community through inspiration currency. So as a community developers, we need to see about the justice and the effective community development. Getting research involved with social constructs is very important because it will improve or develop the quality of life of those of the communities. And you can imagine if this spread all over the world, it will help us to live in a better world which have lots of harmony. Now, the emergency patient beds help not, again, for example, in the case of the emergency patient beds, there are a greater saving for the general hospital because it helped to increase trust among the medical and healthcare professionals. We did a case study about the emergency cases beds, and here we found out is that we through focusing on just the bed itself and how the bed is utilized, we improve the let's say the life of the patients who were waiting, and even the life of the patients who were in the bed, because they left home earlier. They didn't need to stay in the hospital. They get infection. They stayed with their family and so on. At the same time, we relieve the stress on the doctors who are trying to get the patient to be taken care of inside a ward and so on. So this is an example of, again, how we can help in community development in different ways. At the end, we should say that the level of focus on the research depends on how we see the things. We are not trying to bring society to help the society only, and even not to empower the society. But what we are trying actually to do, we are trying to develop the society, and we're trying to inspire the society. And this is what we say, that we, as a researchers in inspiration economy, we are not sympathetic thinkers. We are empathetic thinkers. We see the big picture. We see that, again, after studying, at the end of the day, we're going to publish books that is going to talk about the stories we have done. Stories similar to this one, which is we did in India and different countries, where the education eliminate poverty. This is the result of, again, field research or action-based research. That is, we collected the data, we interacted, we became part of the school members, we became teachers, and we helped to develop a solution for such areas. This is an area, something that is we need to work on as researchers. Our research is supposed to be coming from the field, from the data that we are doing with the people in the field. This will help us to, again, do a secondary data in a proper way, because based on the field, we can, again, go and skim the previous papers and go through the papers that is relevant to our focused area word by word, which means that it will help us to have a proper comprehension, and it will make us, again, decide what to, let's say, realize as part of the secondary data that we can take in our current research. And this will make us to understand the problem in a proper way. Now, there are steps in understanding secondary data. One of it is that we study the introduction. We see what is the purpose of the research. We see whether this research fit our context of study. And then we should study the author's rationale for the study. Of course, there is also the methods of this secondary data or this paper we are studying, whether it have a measurement of appropriate to the question that is it raising or not, whether the study was controlled in a proper way, and what are the variables, and whether these variables are relevant to our study. And then who are the human subjects that they were studied? Is it relevant to, for example, to the community we are talking about or not? Now, there is also, we study in the paper the results of the paper. What are the major findings? What are the experiment turn out? What are the patterns or the trends in the data? And then we study the discussion of the paper before we take some information from it, the conclusion drawn, and the overall conclusion, how it is generalized, the alternative interpretation, and further experiments that is carried out. So when we conceptualize a research design, actually, we are conceptualizing a procedural plan. We are really studying how this paper is started from different type of resources, whether it's books, journals, conference, or interest, and then we format the referencing. And here we talk about means that for example, if we are taking the reference from a book, usually will be written in italic way, the name of the book, and we insert it, of course, after full stop, and after we write the author last name and the abbreviation of the first name and the year. There is also a different type of references, but here we are taking ABA referencing, which is, again, it focus on the references that is already published, disregard the reference that is not published, and it cite the text that is listed in the bibliography, similar to what is written inside the paper. Now, most journals they would like that the author and the year will be there, and of course inside the text we should state only, for example, the author and the year. So, for example, you can say Buhijji, and then the year that I published the paper in, and so on. So we should always think that page number also important when we include a passage or a direct quotation from the paper we are quoting. For example, in this case, so they will say the seminar like this employee, then we can say that this was taken from Nieper and Corbly, and then we put the year of the publication of the paper and which page we have taken from it. When there are several authors, also we should remember is that we will have what we call it etal. So we'll say, for example, Cohen, the name of the main author or one of the first author, and then etal means that the rest of the people, maybe he will have 6 or 7 co-authors helping him, and then the year of the publication. And we can see this is supposed to be used also inside the paper. So citation of authors and year system is very important. It will help us to, again, appreciate that the paper has good research data, and will build up the trust and reliability of the research. By this, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for watching these series of research methodology, and I hope to see you in other classes. Thank you.